Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. We are out here today with Luke, okay, and we are going to do a quick exercise. I get a lot of emails and questions, and says my dog, as I'm walking them, is always got their nose to the ground, and how do we change that? How do we fix that? Okay, so how do we fix that? So I'm gonna walk him. This is Levi. And Levi does the same thing, as you can see. See how his nose is to the ground? Look at this. Okay, how do we change that? How do we change that? Well, Levi, as everybody knows, Labradors, Levi's a Labrador, and Labradors is a very nosy dog. Okay, they use their nose for almost, their food, location. They use their nose to remember. They take in smells through their noses. That's how they remember the locations. They can identify, between their nose and their mouth and their ears, that's how they live. As far as, their whereabouts and their knowledge and so forth. Okay, so they take in different smells through their mouths and through their nose. Sometimes you'll see an animal, even like a deer in the wild. You'll see how they're running around and their mouths are open. They're taking the air in through their mouth and tasting their smell, okay? Dogs are the same. They will open their mouths, take in the smell through their mouth, etc. They do that for different reasons than just their nose, okay? So as you can see, hopefully as I'm walking the camera here, that his head's to the ground all the time. When you're walking a dog, that is very difficult because they're not alert as to where you are, what's going on around them, and so forth. This could be dangerous, not only to you, it could be dangerous to the dog, it could be harmful, etc., etc. Okay? Now, let's get to the point. How do we fix this problem? How do we adjust this problem? Okay, so it's no different than when you're healing a dog, okay? That if the dog needs to be corrected, you would just gently correct right there. A gentle pressure, okay? Again, keep in mind, this is a pressure on, pressure off concepts, okay? If you're dealing with cattle or horses, your gentle presence is the pressure, okay? By you applying pressure to a horse, you can get them to do whatever you want them to do if you're applying the pressure in the right way. No different than a dog. They all learn from the same idea mentally. It's all pressure. Pressure on, pressure off, okay? So now watch this. We're gonna keep, my lead's too long, but we're gonna keep my lead right here at my waist. See this? Okay, actually that's lower than my waist, it's actually in my pocket. But right here, so that there's a little bit of slack in there, but not much. And what this is going to do, it's going to automatically correct him as he walks, okay? This takes learning on your part, because when you walk a dog, initially you want to be able to let go of this lead, okay, and just go. Okay, now let's set some foreground here just real quick. The foreground is this. The dog should not be walking you. You are walking the dog. The dog is not the leader, you are the leader. If it's any other way, that's the problem initially, okay? So we've got to teach you first, then you can teach the dog, okay? This is a young pup, okay? And these are some of them small little things that we're going back and critiquing, okay? And that's what we're doing today. So I thought I'd let everybody see this because this works out perfect when you have a dog actually doing it and you can see it firsthand. So we're going to go right through this. And so we're going to apply the pressure, and this is going to be an automatic thing. So initially, I'm not going to give him freedom because he hasn't shown me he can handle the freedom, okay? So we're not going to give him the freedom. So there is slack, okay? There's slack, there's freedom, there's movement rather. And then what I'm going to do is keep my hand as a pivot right here. And when he tries to put his head down, you're going to see that it's automatically going to correct him. Okay, so my hand is right here. There's a little bit of slack in here. Okay, and the idea is that I may have to make an adjustment as I walk and he puts his head down to walk. Okay, so you may have to adjust it depending on your height and your length of your torso, etc. Because it's going to be different than mine. okay? So you have to adjust this so there's give in here, but the idea is that when he puts his head down or goes down, it automatically corrects him, okay? And then listen to the command I give him, okay, when he says this, because what I don't want is to destroy the idea of him using his nose, okay? So I'm going to put his head being up with the heel command, because I want him to learn when he is heeling and walking, he keeps his head up, okay? Here we go, heel. My hand's in the pivot position. Right, he goes down, see how it automatically corrects him? Now his head popped back up, okay? Heel, heel. Let me see if I can get him to do it again. There it goes, heel. He actually stopped on that one because I think he tried to pick up a stick. I can't really see through the camera. I'm trying to focus on the camera so you can keep him in view here. Heel, 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 heel. Automatically correct them around. Heel. It's kind of hard to watch the camera and walk straight. So I'm keeping my hand. See how it automatically corrected them? Good boy, heel. And I don't know if the camera's picking this up or not at all. Heel. Whoa, sit. So I don't know if you can see what's really going on. Let me explain. So I got there's slack in this, okay? And it's angled back just ever so slightly, okay? It doesn't take much to move this angle, okay? But there's slack in there, okay? And when I've got it positioned. Now I had to readjust because once his body got up off the ground and he started walking, I actually had to adjust up a little bit more. So we have to keep the slack in there, because if you have it tight, like, you know, I don't want to do it, but if you had it tight all the time, let's just say this is tight, and you had it like that all the time, and he's walking, you're actually not teaching your dog anything. You're actually applying the pressure the entire time, and what you're doing is you're causing confusion, okay? So if your dog is walking and this is tight like this all the time, that's just for an example, then you have to break it up, okay? So let's just say I was teaching Levi to walk, and he was pulling, and he kept heel, and he kept doing that all the time. Then what you could do is just step to the left, step to the left. See if I can keep this in the frame. Step to the left. See how he's watching where my legs are? Heel. And then you can gently, then what you're doing is you're causing him to pay attention to you. Whoa. Sit, and then take control away from him. Take the control away from him. Come. There you go. Good job. Good boy. Good boy. Heel. And then you would take the control back into your position, okay? Remember, well, if you didn't watch the previous videos, you wouldn't remember this, but for those that did, we made the statement, or we asked the question, who's in charge of the conversation? The one that gives the answers, the one that asks the answers. Okay, it's the one that asks the answers. So I'm in control if I'm asking him to do the command, okay? I'm in control. If I ask him to sit, ask him to stay, I'm in command, okay? Now, it's my job as the leader, okay, to enforce. If I make a suggestion to him, or I ask him the question or make a suggestion as to this is the command I want you to do, if he doesn't follow suit, then it's my responsibility as the handler and the one in control to place him in that position. So let's just do it like this. So I stop. Let's just say, well, he's smart enough to know that when I stop walking, he sits. But let's just say he didn't. And I said, whoa, just a preliminary word to slow us down. And then I put him in a sit position. Let's say he didn't sit in that position. And I said sit. Well, then it's my responsibility to put him in the sit, okay? It's like a teenager, okay? You tell them to do something and they don't do it, and then they get up and walk out the room. Once they do that once, they'll do it again, okay? So again, When we tell them to do something, and we ask them a question, we're gentle, we say sit, okay? That's It's a suggestion, or it's a question. I'm asking you to sit, okay? But if he says, no, I don't want to do that, because sometime in this dog's life, he's going to challenge me and say, I really don't have to do that. And then I'm gonna say, oh, but you really do need to do that, okay? It's not only because I'm the leader, but it's for your well-being, because if I'm at a stoplight and you don't sit like I'm telling you to, and you get up and walk away, we can have a fatality or an injury. We do not want that, okay? And maybe even a liability, okay? We don't want that. So that's why we lead our dogs. We lead our animals. We lead our pets. I don't care if you got a pet horse. That's exactly the same. Let's go, if you have a pet cow, a pet pig, a pet goat, it's all applied the same way, okay? Pressure off, pressure on concepts. The pressure that's applied is a little bit different elements, or a little bit differently, just slightly different, okay? But it's the same concepts. Reading their body language, putting pressure on, and so forth, okay? And then rewarding them. A horse doesn't take much rewarding. You can just touch them, don't pat them, but you can just touch them, like pet them like this, okay? Now, like this, a gentle touch to a horse does wonders, okay? Dogs the same way, really, okay? Sometimes you have to add a little bit more affection to it, but a horse, just a simple touch is all you need, okay? Okay, so I think that pretty well covers that. Let's try to do it again though, just real quick as a review, okay? So we're gonna go in a heel position. Mr. Levi pretty much knows the routine. Okay, I'm holding my hand up high. It's gonna pull the chain off his neck, okay? Leave it. He's trying to go for blowing leaves and sticks. Now see how his head's up, okay? And if he tries to go down, heel. If he tries to go down, it's gonna automatically correct him. Now see how before he was down to the ground all the time? Now that I've got my hand in the right position and the lead automatically corrects him as when he wants to pull down, it keeps his head up the entire time. See the difference? Whoa, sit, good boy, good boy. See the difference? Huge difference. Okay, so let me show you, when we're walking, here, heel. I'm gonna show you where my hand's at. He's gonna stop, but that's not really good. It's not gonna show you that much. But I'm gonna give you a measurement. There's probably 18 inches there of lead that I'm using, okay? And I'm normally it would be down here like this. Sit. It normally, it would be laying flat on his back, okay? Like that. I'm just pulling it up like that. So normally it's laying like that. I'm just pulling it up like that. So if it appears that I'm pulling on it, I'm not. Because I'm angling the lead. See, normally I'll be angling the lead, and then see how it's laying flat on his back? I'm just picking it up off and holding it straight up. Like that, okay? There's slack in that. There's no correction unless he puts his head down. Okay, heel, okay? And so, whoa, sit, good boy. So and here's why that pressure on, pressure off concepts works so positively, is because dogs and animals, they want to get rid of the pressure, okay? They want to get rid of the pressure. They have to, you want to give them a reason to obey you, okay, and to follow suit. So that's why we say start a relationship with them, get them used to the atmosphere, etc., etc. We could build on all that, okay? But that's just a basis. And then we apply the pressure. When we apply the pressure for them to get rid of the pressure, they do what you have shown them to do. So then as time goes on, they learn with the pressure. I say, in order for me to get rid of the pressure, I sit when I hear, so I pull in this position, this way, pressure on, sit, command. So I showed him what I wanted to do. I give him the command, sit, good, praise, okay? Then as time goes on, I'm going to, once he shows me that he can handle this, I'm going to go, so we started with the nylon collar, then we're going to this to teach him the commands and not to pull and so forth, teach him his whereabouts, etc., etc. And then we go back to the nylon collar, Okay, but before we go back to the nylon collar, we go with a longer lead and so forth, because we never want to not be able to back up our commands, okay? And then we'll go back to the nylon collar, like down the road quite a ways, and then to the longer lead, okay? And then if I need to, I can go to an e-collar, and I can send him 200-300 yards away and tell him to do something, and then bring him back to me, and still have control by using an e-collar, perhaps, if I get to that point with this guy. And I still have control over him. Now we're getting to an off-leash situation. But by using this concept, pressure on, pressure off, it's already aligning me up for the e-collar down the road, okay? So I could go into a park. I've got an e-collar on him. I can send him out running, okay? And when I want him to come back, I can use a whistle, 2 whistles, beep, beep, come. And then I can hit the electric stimulation, okay? And then that would put the pressure on, doing the same thing here as to come, okay? The pressure on, pressure off. Once I see his head turn and starts coming toward me, I let the pressure go. So in this sense, I would go come and then let go. And then he would start coming to me and hear the whistle, okay? That's how that works. Now you've got a very well-trained off-leash dog that you have control over no matter where you're at, okay? That's the point you want to get to. I would never have my dog in the city or in a park, a large park, and never have the ability to retrieve that dog in some way, okay? I mean, I'm going to be a little bold saying this, but that's foolishness, okay? We have our property, so for those that have never been here, my property, it's adjacent to the Mackinac River, okay? And some other properties go down in there. Well, we get a lot of dogs, stray dogs, that come up through that river because people take their dogs and they're down by the river and so forth. Nothing wrong with that. And they go perhaps canoeing with these dogs. And even some of them, we got some preservation down there, and they take their dogs in there hunting for birds. Okay? No, we're not doing that. And when they take them down in there, so they think, well, I've got a great trained dog. I don't need to have any way of recovering my dog because my dog will listen to me. Yeah, it will listen to you until it decides that it doesn't want to anymore, because there's no way for you backing up that command, okay? So you just placed a teenager in the vehicle and you are out of sight, out of mind, and you tell the teenager, do not speed. Guess what? Mom and daddy ain't around, and there's no way of tracking that. Guess what the teenager ends up doing? Speeding, okay? When you have no way of backing up yourself with your dog, and it's doing something out in the middle of the field, or I send him way out here. If I tell him to come and I have no way of backing that up, he's like, hey, I got freedom, I can do what I want. Okay, then you're putting that position in the dog to make that decision. And that's a bad decision on our part as handlers, okay? We have to be able to back ourselves up every time, all right? So hopefully that's helpful. I'm gonna cut this one short again. So I'm not trying to get too long, and I don't want to get too boring for everybody. So again, please subscribe to our channel. We really appreciate it, and we will see you on the next one.